Today I'm making a chocolate sheet cake. For April's time traveling adventure, we're going back to 1986 to try out this chocolate sheet cake recipe from an Eagle brand ad. It's hard to believe something that tastes so good could be so easy. This is probably one of the easiest cakes I've ever made. You can turn on subtitles by pressing the CC button, and if you want to give this cake a try yourself, I'll be leaving all of the ingredients and their measurements in the description under the video. So, let's start this cake off with our wet ingredients by melting a whole lot of butter in a pot. If you thought this cake was going to be even the slightest bit healthier because it's only a thin layer, think again. We're putting 2.5 sticks of butter in this whole cake. Once those 2 sticks are totally melted, let's add in some cocoa powder and mix it in. This should just take a minute or two. Now we're going to add in some water and mix it in. Don't go anywhere though. This gets really bubbly and can boil over easily. So keep an eye on it, and once it comes up to a boil, take it off the heat. Now we're going to work on our dry mix. Into a large bowl, I'm going to add in our flour and brown sugar, and you'll know you packed it right if it just plops out in one piece like this. Follow this up with some baking soda, cinnamon, and salt, and pour the cocoa mixture into the bowl. Now we're going to beat it into the dry mix. Maybe starting slow to avoid splashing hot cocoa everywhere. Make sure to get around to all of the edges, as well as the bottom of the bowl to get any dry flour pockets. Once the dry and wet ingredients have been totally combined, it should have cooled down enough for the next step. But if it's still really hot, I'd suggest letting it cool a bit longer so you don't scramble your eggs. So, next we're adding in 1/3 cup of sweetened condensed milk, the eggs, and vanilla. The recipe says to stir these ingredients in, but it seemed to me like you might end up with some random eggy bits throughout the cake, so I chose to beat these in too. I'm beating until everything looks smooth. And it looks like cake batter. Now I've gone ahead and greased a 15 by 10 inch jelly roll pan, and we're going to pour our batter into it. It looks like maybe my table isn't totally level, so I'm tilting the pan to get in that corner and making sure to get the batter as even as possible. Now let's release some air bubbles. Maybe not too much. I'm scared this thing is just gonna flop and splash everywhere. So with that, let's bake this in a 350-degree oven for 15 minutes, or until the cake springs back when lightly touched. At 15 minutes, there was still a pocket of raw batter in the center, so I let it go an extra 5 minutes, and it came out looking perfectly and evenly baked. While that begins to cool, let's get started on our frosting. Into a small saucepan, I'm adding in the butter, and again, melting that down before adding in some cocoa powder. With less butter this time, it may take a little longer than last time to get this evenly mixed in, but just keep mixing and it'll smooth out. Once it does, let's pour in the remainder of the sweetened condensed milk, and again, stir until smooth. I think getting everything super smooth now will make the next step a lot easier. So I actually didn't notice that I messed this up until just now, but we're gonna add 1 cup of confectioner's sugar to the pot. What, this doesn't look like 1 cup of sugar? Well, that would be because I added 2 cups. I was wondering why my frosting felt so thick. You should have an easier time mixing this in than I did with my 2 cups. But just mix it until smooth. Again, I still had some small sugar pockets that wouldn't go away, but a whisk took care of those easily. Now we're finishing off this frosting with some chopped nuts. The picture seemed to be using pecans, so that's what I used. And mix to combine and evenly coat the nuts. And finally, let's spread the frosting onto the warm cake. I'm just pouring it all out into the center and spreading it out to the edges from there. Try to make sure the nuts get distributed evenly. I definitely recommend you try and work quick and get the warm frosting on the cake while it's still warm to help spread everything out before it cools and starts to harden. And there you have it, our quick and easy chocolate sheet cake directly from 1986. This cake came together so easily. I don't want to deal with the mess that'll come with cutting through warm chocolate, so I'm chilling this to let everything firm up, then serving myself a generous piece. This cake smells fantastic. I feel like we unintentionally continued with the theme of Mexican cakes because this smells and tastes just like Mexican hot chocolate. It's that mix of cinnamon and chocolate. It just gives such a nostalgic warmth. The frosting is sweet and decadent, and the nuts add some great texture, though I might suggest chopping them a bit finer than I did. Some of the pieces were a bit big. The cake itself is not overly sweet, which when paired with the frosting is a perfect balance. Still a bit sweet for this big of a piece of cake, but as long as you don't accidentally double the sugar like I did, you should be fine. If you're looking for a seriously quick and tasty dessert, give this chocolate sheet cake a try. And if you do, I'd love to see how it comes out. Share a picture with me on Instagram and tag me at Michael with 4 H's. And if you enjoyed this video or interesting vintage recipes, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and check out my vintage recipes playlist. I upload a vintage recipe on the first Thursday of every month. Consider subscribing if you're new, I would love to have you around. And if you'd like to watch another video, you can click right up here. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you all next Thursday.